she's gonna be murdered in a car. And nobody done nothing to protect her. Because they know they planning to do what they have done to my son.
Princess Diana's life was not as perfect as it seemed. Behind the fancy dresses and big smiles, she was hiding a painful truth. Before she passed away, she shared shocking things about King Charles. Things that many people never knew. She spoke about feeling trapped, lonely, and even scared. She revealed secrets about their marriage, their fights, and the things that happened behind closed doors. What she said was so disturbing that it left many wondering what was really going on inside the royal family. These were not just small problems. They were deep, dark truths that changed the way people saw the man who would one day be king. And once these secrets came out, nothing was ever the same again. Charles's alleged infidelity and emotional abuse. There was always someone else in Princess Diana's marriage. No matter how hard she tried, she could never shake the feeling that Camilla Parker Bowles was always there, lurking in the background. From the very start, Diana felt she was fighting a losing battle for Charles's love and attention. Diana once said something that broke millions of hearts around the world. She said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." That one sentence said it all. She wasn't just married to Charles, she was sharing him. And no woman should have to go through that kind of pain. Diana wasn't crazy. She wasn't imagining things. She knew Charles was having an affair with Camilla, even when everyone around her tried to tell her otherwise. But instead of Charles sitting down and reassuring his young wife, he made it worse. Whenever Diana brought it up, he would gaslight her. He would say things like, "You're paranoid," or "You're imagining it," making her question her own sanity. Can you imagine the man you love turning your deepest fears into a joke? That's exactly what happened to Diana. The emotional damage Charles caused her was massive. He didn't comfort her. He didn't protect her. He left her to deal with it all alone. Diana struggled with bulimia, an eating disorder that took over her life. She once shared that Charles made fun of her weight, pushing her deeper into the illness. Instead of helping, Charles turned away. He laughed at her, called her unstable, and labeled her as the problem in their marriage. Diana was drowning, and Charles stood by watching. He laughed off her pain, told others she was being dramatic, and treated her feelings like they didn't matter. That cold behavior broke Diana from the inside. It made her feel unloved, unwanted, and like a burden. For the world, they looked like the perfect royal couple. But behind closed doors, Diana was fighting a silent war. She was trying to save a marriage that Charles had given up on long ago. No matter what she did, it was never enough because, in the end, his heart belonged to someone else, Camilla. The Tampon Gate scandal and public humiliation. If Diana had any doubts about Charles's affair, those doubts were crushed when the Tampon Gate scandal hit the headlines in 1993. The private, intimate phone call between Charles and Camilla was leaked, and the world got to hear just how deep their relationship really was. The conversation was shocking, embarrassing, and humiliating, not just for Charles, but for Diana most of all. In the call, Charles joked about wanting to be reincarnated as Camilla's tampon, words so private and bizarre that even today, they make people uncomfortable. But imagine being Diana, hearing the man you're married to, the future King of England, talk like that to another woman. It wasn't just an affair. It was proof that everything Diana had feared was true. Charles loved Camilla, not her. And now, the whole world knew it. She couldn't hide anymore. She had to smile, wave, and pretend like it was all okay while every newspaper splashed that humiliation on the front page. For Diana, this wasn't just betrayal. It was public execution of her dignity. The royal family stayed silent, as always, leaving Diana to face the world alone. The scandal only made Diana stronger, though. It fueled her desire to speak out, to tell her side of the story. She knew if she stayed quiet, she'd be buried by the lies. The world's opinion of Charles took a huge hit. People couldn't believe the man who was supposed to be their future king could speak that way, act that way, and hurt Diana so deeply. But instead of breaking her, It pushed Diana to fight harder for her truth. Diana's dark predictions and fears before her death. The saddest part of Diana's story is that she knew deep down that her life was in danger. She said it more than once. She was scared that they would kill her. But who was they? The royal family? The press? The people who didn't want her speaking out? In private conversations, Diana shared her fears openly. She once said, "They're going to kill me in a car accident." Those words hit harder now, knowing how she died. It's chilling to think about. It was like she knew what was coming but felt powerless to stop it. There's also the Mishkan note, a letter written down by her lawyer after Diana told him about a plot she feared. She believed someone wanted to tamper with her car brakes or stage a crash. She thought she was being watched, followed, and set up. And the sad part is, nobody really listened. Diana wasn't just scared for herself. She was scared for her sons, William and Harry. She knew that the more she spoke out, the more dangerous it became for her. But still, she didn't stop. She refused to be silenced, even if it cost her everything. Her death left behind so many questions. Did she know too much? Was it really just an accident? Or did someone finally decide that Diana had said enough? Post-divorce explosions. After the divorce, Diana finally started speaking her truth, and the world listened. In 1995, she gave a now-famous interview to BBC Panorama with journalist Martin Bashir. That interview changed everything. Diana didn't hold back. She spoke about Charles's betrayal, about how she was left unprotected by the royal family, and about how lonely she felt. She admitted to her struggles with bulimia and depression, but more importantly, she made it clear that she was never the crazy one. She was the one surviving in an impossible situation. One of the most powerful moments was when Diana said she didn't think Charles was fit to be king. She feared that his actions, his cold heart, and his lack of empathy made him wrong for the role, and millions of people agreed with her. The interview caused an earthquake inside the royal family. Charles's reputation took a massive hit. People couldn't look at him the same way again. The once fairy tale prince was now seen as a cheating, cold-hearted man who broke the heart of the world's princess. But for Diana, it was more than revenge. It was freedom. For the first time, she was telling her story, her way. And people finally saw the real Diana. Not the royal puppet, but the strong, brave woman fighting for her life. After the interview, Diana's life began to change. She started focusing on humanitarian work, traveling the world, and helping people. She was becoming her own person, no longer just the princess, but a global icon for compassion and courage. Final days, final words. In the last months of her life, Diana seemed different. She was finally breaking free from the royal chains. She found love again, this time with Dodi Fayed, the son of billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed. Their relationship raised many eyebrows, especially inside the royal circle. There were whispers that Diana and Dodi were planning something big. Some said she was thinking about moving to the United States, starting a new life far away from the royal family. There were even rumors that she wanted full custody of William and Harry. She didn't want her boys growing up in the same cold world that had destroyed her. Some reports claim that Diana was planning to reveal more secrets, that she was ready to expose the royal family in a way no one had ever done before. What she knew, what she had seen. It could have shaken the monarchy to its core. But we'll never truly know what Diana was planning because she never got the chance to finish her story. On August 31st, 1997, her life was cut short in a car crash in Paris. And just like that, the world lost its princess. Even today, people wonder, what else did Diana know? What other secrets did she carry with her to the grave? Was her death really just an accident? Or was it something darker, something more planned? Princess Diana's words left the world shocked, and even today, they raise questions about what really happened behind the palace walls. Her truth changed history, but the full story may never be known. What do you think about the secrets she revealed? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more eye-opening stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Everything changed on February 10, 2005, when Charles and Camilla announced their engagement, a moment that captured headlines and public interest. Camilla humorously shared that Charles had indeed gotten down on one knee to propose. The engagement was warmly welcomed by the royal family, with William and Harry expressing their happiness for the couple. The wedding, held on April 9, 2005, at Windsor Guildhall, was a modest affair. They chose a simple ceremony with close family and friends, foregoing the typical grandeur of a royal wedding. The Queen did not attend the ceremony, but joined the couple for the blessing at St. George's Chapel afterward. In the wake of Diana's death in 1997, Charles and Camilla found their romance rekindled amidst public mourning and media scrutiny. This period was fraught with challenges as they sought acceptance. In 1998, a teenage Prince William had an uncomfortable meeting with Camilla at St. James's Palace, a crucial step in her gradual introduction to the royal family. Initial interactions over lunches and teas were awkward but necessary. Queen Elizabeth II was initially resistant to Camilla, dubbing her "that wicked woman." However, by 2000, her stance softened, and she dined with Charles and Camilla, subtly signaling her approval. Public appearances followed, with a significant one in January 1999 at a birthday party for Camilla's sister. Arriving separately but leaving together, Charles and Camilla's public outing created a media storm, paving the way for Camilla's acceptance. By the Queen Mother's funeral in 2002, Camilla stood by Charles, solidifying her role as his partner. She also embarked on her first solo public engagement that year, a critical move in her royal journey. By 2003, Charles and Camilla had moved in together at Clarence House, signifying their serious commitment. On February 10, 2005, Charles and Camilla announced their engagement, a moment of public and media excitement. Camilla shared that Charles had indeed proposed on one knee. The engagement was warmly received by the family, with William and Harry expressing their support. The wedding on April 9, 2005, at Windsor Guildhall was understated and intimate, attended by close family and friends. The Queen skipped the ceremony but attended the subsequent blessing at St. George's Chapel, showing her support. The journey of Charles and Camilla, marked by rekindled love, public scrutiny, and gradual acceptance, culminated in a modest yet meaningful wedding, symbolizing a new beginning for the couple. From scandal to crown, when Queen Elizabeth II passed away, the dynamics of the British monarchy underwent a significant transformation. Charles ascended the throne as King Charles III, and in a surprising twist, Camilla was named Queen Consort. This development was unexpected, especially considering Queen Elizabeth's initial reluctance to accept Camilla. Over the years, however, Camilla proved her loyalty and dedication, eventually earning the Queen's endorsement in a heartfelt message. This endorsement, which seemed unthinkable decades ago, marked a dramatic shift in the royal narrative, turning Camilla from a figure of skepticism into a respected pillar of the monarchy. The late Queen's public blessing underscored Camilla's journey and emphasized her commitment to the crown, encouraging others to support Charles and Camilla as they had supported her. The question of why Charles married Diana when his heart belonged to Camilla lingered in the minds of many. This dilemma highlighted the conflict between royal duties and personal happiness. Diana, trapped in a loveless marriage, suffered immensely, enduring years of emotional distress. Charles's marriage to Diana, despite his enduring love for Camilla, underscored the immense pressure and expectations placed on royal family members to prioritize duty over personal desire, often leading to profound personal sacrifices. The Tampon Gate scandal. One of the most notorious scandals in royal history erupted when details of a private phone conversation between Charles and Camilla from 1989 were leaked. Dubbed Tampon Gate, or Camilla Gate, this scandal was not just typical tabloid fare. It was a royal catastrophe. At the time of the call, both Charles and Camilla were married to other people. The conversation, however, was anything but ordinary, with Charles expressing a desire to be reincarnated as Camilla's tampon, a bizarrely intimate statement that somehow became public. This scandalous exchange made headlines under the sensational title, "Charles and Camilla, the Tape." The People newspaper published a full transcript of their 6-minute conversation, and to add to the humiliation, audio of the conversation was also released. The release of such a private and intimate conversation raised questions about who might be responsible for the leak.
Kate Middleton gives a heartfelt speech about the mental health of children, insisting this is something I really do care about.
My own journey into understanding the importance of early childhood actually started with adults and not with children. It was about prevention. I wanted to understand what more we could do to help prevent some of today's toughest social challenges, and what more we could do to help with the rising rates of poor mental health.
While many philanthropists are known for supporting various causes by donating large sums of money and making brief public appearances, Princess Catherine prefers to take a more practical approach. She endeavors to meet the people in person, speaking with them and offering the encouragement they need. Because of these personal encounters, there are many stories of children who almost gave up on life, but began to smile again after a friendly, unexpected visit from the princess.
Kate Middleton made an appearance to open the redeveloped children's center at the hospital, and she was greeted by fans outside. One little girl gave her 2 stuffed bears.
What happened during these visits? What did she say to them? Join us as we explore some of these heartwarming stories and the many deeds of Catherine Middleton. Craig's big moment with the princess. Catherine Middleton is known for getting deeply involved in various charities, with many efforts focusing on children's mental health, early childhood development, and the family's well-being. Many of her initiatives highlight these commitments, such as the Royal Foundation for Early Childhood, aimed at helping parents and older people understand the importance of early childhood experiences. Unlike many philanthropists, Catherine is known for directly getting involved in humanitarian efforts as much as she can. This was made evident in January of 2018, when Catherine and her husband traveled to Coventry to catch up with royal appointments. Among these engagements were a visit to the city's cathedral, a renowned cafe built to provide work opportunities to recovering addicts, and Coventry University's new science and health building. Catherine and her husband were familiarizing themselves with the Positive Youth Foundation.
William and I are absolutely delighted to be with you here in Birmingham on World Mental Health Day for our Royal Foundation Youth Forum. William and I continue to be inspired to see young people, like you all here today, leading this charge.
An initiative formed to help young people get better careers and opportunities. It was then when they came across a little boy who looked sick. Upon seeing the boy, Catherine immediately got involved, walking over to him and handing over a sick bag. The boy's eyes widened as he saw the Princess of Wales gently placing her hands on him to make sure he felt better. Craig Skipper, the 10-year-old boy, had begun to feel sick after waiting 3 hours for Catherine and her husband to arrive. And when they did arrive, the child was looking tired, like was about to faint. Concerned about the young boy, Catherine bent down to talk to him. With concern in her eyes, she had gone to one of her bodyguards and returned with a brown paper bag for the boy. Thankfully, the boy didn't need it, as he felt better not long afterwards. To the Princess of Wales, this was just one encounter out of several, but to the young boy, this would be a moment he would never forget. Carol Flynn, a learning mentor at the nearby school, spoke about this, stating how Catherine took her time with Craig. It was obvious she was a mother. According to Flynn, she could almost see the love in her eyes at that point. This moment highlighted her instinctive caring nature for children, but it wasn't the only time something like this happened. Solving puzzles with the princess. Catherine's motherly nature was most apparent when she joined the pupils of St. John's Church of England Primary School in a craft lesson.
The Princess of Wales talked with young students about connecting with others and experiencing different feelings. She sat down with children from St. John's Church of England Primary School in Bethnal Green, London's East End, and joined them for a craft lesson.
She got to work with the children, solving puzzles and building blocks as she talked to them about mental health in the simplest words they could understand. As she worked with the children, she asked each of them how they coped with their emotions. The princess had supported the various charities that established the Children's Mental Health Week, a period set apart for different activities aimed at helping children achieve and enjoy complete mental and emotional well-being. This period was established in 2015, with a mandate for all week schools, families, and youth groups to get involved in the initiative. Catherine had shared her convictions about this multiple times, stating it as very good for emotional health and well-being. The princess stated she was a firm believer in giving children the tools needed for navigating the mental issues that come with growing up, and she demonstrated that in this encounter with the children. During the crafts lesson, a young boy told the princess how connecting helps him express how he feels to people around him.
The project we're working is connecting with others.
And why is that important, do you think?
Connecting releases our emotions to your other people that you care about.
Absolutely.
After the princess responded, another classmate spoke about how she coped with her strong feelings by taking deep breaths and drinking some water. When the session came to an end, Catherine encouraged the children to always express how they felt to those who cared about them, while asking others to do the same as well. Today, Princess Catherine is known for providing the funding needed to run several hospitals and caring homes. Among these centers is the Evelina London Children's Hospital, whose efforts in providing healthcare services to children and young adults have been praised by the royal family. As we shall see, each of her visits to these hospitals made headlines. Catherine's hospital visits and experiences. Perhaps the most notable of her visits to the Children's Hospital was in December 2018, when Catherine and her husband announced they would be patronizing the establishment moving forward. This brought smiles to the faces of many, and the event was marked by Catherine's interactions with the children receiving treatment. She showed great empathy to the little ones, putting them at ease at a time of great distress. She also spoke with some of them about their experiences by offering words of comfort and encouragement. Being very practical in interacting with children, Catherine took part in various activities. She joined them in making decorations and pictures, creating a peaceful atmosphere that lifted their little minds. After interacting with the children, Catherine took the time to speak with the hospital staff, appreciating them for their hard work and dedication to the young children. The Princess of Wales made her next visit in February 2019 to celebrate the hospital's 150th anniversary. As usual, she joined the children in making birthday cards for the hospital, bringing attention to the establishment's history, latest achievements, and ongoing efforts to help children across London and beyond. It was celebrated in grand style, and her next visit was scheduled for the following year, but something unexpected came up. As we all know, the pandemic of 2020 triggered a lot of restrictions around the world, and London was not an exception. So the princess had to adapt to the times by engaging with the hospital virtually. Wanting to provide comfort and entertainment at a difficult time, Catherine took part in a virtual storytelling session with the children watching from the hospital. She read stories from different books to the little ones as they listened with excitement. After that, she had a separate session with the hospital staff to discuss the challenges they had with the many restrictions that came with the pandemic. She encouraged them to keep pushing forward while expressing her gratitude, promising to keep supporting the hospital as she always had.
Over the last 9 months, the pandemic has been a worrying time for us all. We've experienced isolation, loss, and uncertainty. But in the midst of this crisis, we've also seen huge acts of kindness, generosity, and empathy.
Aside from this, Princess Catherine has also been a patron of East Anglia's children's hospices. Known to many as EACH, the charity offers care and support for children with life-threatening conditions, along with their families across East Anglia. She became the royal patron in 2012, early in her role as Princess of Wales. This decision was influenced by her natural interest in children's health and the well-being of the family. This act alone helped raise the profile of EACH, bringing greater awareness about what they do and its importance. Not long after doing this, Catherine opened the Treehouse, a new caring home for the terminally ill, in March of that same year. It was one of her first single engagements, and it marked the start of her direct involvement in charity. There, she met with the families of the children, showing great empathy and helping them feel heard and understood. She ended the occasion with a heartfelt speech, showing admiration for the children's courage while explaining the importance of the EACH initiative. However, royal patronage was not enough to build these caring homes and keep them running at full capacity. Enter the fundraising campaigns, an opportunity for people who admire the works of the organization to get involved by their contributions. Catherine's presence has played an active role in supporting these fundraising campaigns, using her platform to encourage participation among those interested. Along with these attempts was the famous Nook Appeal, which was launched in 2014. It was a major fundraising campaign put up to build a new caring home with the latest technologies in Norfolk. Thanks to her influence, the campaign was able to raise the £10 million needed for the project to work. She attended the celebration ceremony in 2015 and returned 4 years later to open the caring home, now named after the campaign, The Nook. What followed was numerous attendances at galas and private events to raise awareness of the initiative and her numerous personal visits to the caring homes. Often carried out privately, Catherine uses the chance to connect personally with some of the children, participating in various activities including music therapy sessions and outdoor activities. Many caregivers at the homes have told stories of how children had given up hope before having a private visit from the princess. Afterwards, they become inspired to fight for their lives with smiles on their faces. For the parents whose children had the most terminal cases, Catherine offered a listening ear, doing the least she could do so they could at least feel heard and supported to the bitter end.
Mourners line the street, numbering in the thousands. Diana touched the lives of so many in her 36 years, and people of all backgrounds take her loss heavily.
In a stunning development that has sent shockwaves through royal circles, Queen Camilla has reportedly made the unprecedented decision to directly challenge the late Queen Elizabeth's final wishes regarding Princess Diana's legacy. This shocking move has united Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, in outrage despite their ongoing estrangement. Palace insiders reveal that both princes are furious at their stepmother's actions, creating a family crisis that threatens to undermine King Charles's efforts to project stability in his reign. What exactly has Camilla done that has so angered Diana's sons, and why would she risk such a controversial stance? The royal directive ignored. According to sources with direct knowledge of the situation, before her death, Queen Elizabeth left specific instructions regarding several royal residences, collections, and heirlooms that had connections to Princess Diana. These instructions included provisions for preserving Diana's personal effects, maintaining certain memorials, and ensuring her grandchildren would have access to items that belonged to their mother. The late Queen was extremely thorough in her planning, revealed one former palace official. She understood that Diana's legacy remained a sensitive topic and wanted to ensure everything was handled with appropriate respect after her passing. Among these directives was the stipulation that Diana's former apartments at Kensington Palace would be preserved in their historical context, with certain rooms maintained as they were during her residence there. Additionally, specific jewelry pieces that had been worn by Diana and returned to the royal collection were to be reserved for use by Kate, Princess of Wales, and eventually, Princess Charlotte. However, palace insiders claim that Camilla has systematically begun dismantling these arrangements, beginning with the redecoration of spaces in Kensington Palace that were specifically covered by Elizabeth's directives. Camilla has made it clear she wants a clean slate, said one royal household source. She's instructed staff to refresh areas that were explicitly meant to be preserved, and has begun using jewelry pieces that were designated for Kate and Charlotte. William's measured fury. For Prince William, this situation represents a particularly difficult challenge. As heir to the throne, he's been careful to maintain public unity with his father and Camilla, while privately harboring strong feelings about his mother's legacy and how it should be honored. William is absolutely livid, but he's trapped in an impossible position, claimed one source close to the Prince of Wales. He can't publicly criticize the king's wife without creating a constitutional problem. But he views Camilla's actions as a direct attack on his mother's memory. According to multiple sources, William has attempted to address the issue through proper channels, requesting formal meetings with his father to discuss what he views as violations of his grandmother's wishes. These meetings have reportedly been tense, with Charles caught between loyalty to his wife and understanding his son's perspective. Most concerning to William, according to those familiar with his thinking, is what he perceives as Camilla's attempt to gradually erase Diana's presence from royal history. He allegedly told a close confidant, "First, it's redecorating rooms. Then it's wearing her jewelry. Soon it will be as if my mother never existed in these spaces at all." William's staff has reportedly been instructed to carefully document all changes being made that contradict Elizabeth's wishes, creating what one insider described as an accounting of grievances that may eventually require intervention from the Privy Council if the situation continues to deteriorate. Harry's public outrage. While William's response has been measured by his position and proximity, Prince Harry has reportedly been far more direct in his objections. From his home in California, Harry has allegedly sent a strongly worded private letter to both his father and Camilla expressing his disgust at what he views as disrespect, not only to his mother, but also to his grandmother's final wishes. Harry isn't constrained by the same considerations as William, explained one source familiar with both brothers. He's made it clear that if Camilla continues down this path, he's prepared to make the entire situation public, including specific details about Queen Elizabeth's directives. This threat of public exposure is particularly concerning to palace officials, who fear that Harry could use his media connections and platform to create another royal crisis, just as Charles has begun to stabilize his reign. The specific mention of Queen Elizabeth's wishes adds another dimension, as the late monarch remains deeply revered by the British public. According to those close to Harry, he views this situation as validation of concerns he has expressed for years about Camilla's influence and intentions. One friend reported that Harry said, "This is exactly what I warned everyone about. The moment she had the power, she began using it to erase my mother. It's vindication in the worst possible way." The items in dispute. At the center of this royal conflict are several specific items and spaces that hold deep significance in Diana's story. Palace sources have identified several key points of contention. Diana's former apartment at Kensington Palace, which Camilla has allegedly begun modernizing, despite directives that certain rooms be preserved in their historical state. The Spencer tiara, which Diana wore on her wedding day. Though technically owned by the Spencer family, arrangements had been made for it to be displayed in a royal collection dedicated to Diana's memory. A collection of sapphire jewelry that matched Diana's famous engagement ring, now worn by Kate. Queen Elizabeth had designated these pieces for Charlotte when she comes of age. Personal correspondence between Diana and Queen Elizabeth, which was to remain sealed until William and Harry mutually agreed to its release. Camilla has reportedly requested access to these letters. A suite at Sandringham that Diana had decorated and used when the family spent Christmas there, which Camilla has allegedly converted into a new space for her own grandchildren. These might seem like small things to outsiders, but they represent physical connections to Diana that her sons value deeply, explained one former royal household member. By changing or claiming these spaces and items, Camilla is effectively overwriting Diana's presence in royal history. Charles caught in the middle for King Charles. This situation represents a painful dilemma that forces him to choose between his wife and his sons. Sources close to the monarch describe him as deeply distressed by the conflict, particularly as it involves honoring the wishes of his late mother, while also supporting his current wife. Charles genuinely wants to heal his family, but he's caught between irreconcilable positions, said one longtime royal advisor. Camilla feels she has earned the right to establish herself fully as queen without Diana's shadow constantly looming, while William and Harry feel their mother's memory is being deliberately diminished. The king has reportedly attempted to broker a compromise, suggesting that certain items and spaces could be preserved as Elizabeth wished, while others could be updated or repurposed. However, this middle ground approach has satisfied neither side, with Camilla reportedly insisting on her prerogatives as queen and the princes standing firm on respecting their grandmother's explicit wishes. Most concerning for Charles is how this conflict might affect his relationship with William, whose support is essential for the stability of the monarchy. One source claimed to have overheard William telling his father, "You're putting me in an impossible position. I cannot and will not stand by while my mother's memory is erased from our family history." The Queen's detailed instructions. What makes this situation particularly problematic is the reportedly explicit nature of Queen Elizabeth's instructions. According to those familiar with the documents, Elizabeth left detailed guidance rather than vague suggestions, having anticipated potential tensions over Diana's legacy. The late queen was extremely precise in her directives, explained one former palace official. She specified exactly which items were to be preserved, which spaces were to be maintained, and how Diana should be represented in family histories and exhibitions. There's very little room for interpretation. Elizabeth's foresight on this matter reflects her deep understanding of the complexities surrounding Diana's place in royal history. Having witnessed the public and private aftermath of Diana's death, and the complicated integration of Camilla into the royal family, the late queen apparently sought to establish clear boundaries that would prevent exactly the type of conflict currently unfolding. Most significantly, Elizabeth allegedly included a personal letter to Charles, emphasizing the importance of honoring these wishes as part of maintaining public trust in the monarchy. According to those who have seen this letter, Elizabeth specifically noted that respecting Diana's legacy was essential for William and Harry's continued support of the institution. The United Brothers. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this royal drama is how it has temporarily bridged the well-documented rift between William and Harry. Sources close to both princes report that they have been in regular contact regarding Camilla's actions, setting aside their other differences to present a unified front on this specific issue. Diana remains the one thing that can still unite them instantly, observed one longtime family friend. Whatever their disagreements about everything else, they are absolutely aligned when it comes to protecting their mother's memory and legacy. This unexpected alliance has reportedly taken the palace by surprise, as officials had become accustomed to managing William and Harry as separate entities with different concerns. The prospect of them working in tandem on this issue presents a formidable challenge to Camilla's position, and Charles's attempt to balance competing interests. According to one source, William and Harry recently held a video call specifically to coordinate their response to Camilla's actions. While they continue to differ on many issues, including Harry's public criticisms of the institution, they have agreed to stand together in insisting that Queen Elizabeth's wishes regarding their mother be honored without compromise. Public perception at stake. Beyond the personal dimensions of this conflict lies the broader question of public perception. Royal analysts note that Diana remains an enormously popular figure in public memory, while Camilla has worked for decades to overcome initial public resistance to her relationship with Charles and her eventual position as queen. This is potentially disastrous from a public relations perspective, noted one royal commentator. If the public perceives Camilla as disrespecting Diana's memory or overriding Queen Elizabeth's wishes, it could undo years of careful image rehabilitation. Early indications suggest the public is largely sympathetic to William and Harry's position. Social media reactions to rumors of the dispute have been overwhelmingly supportive of Diana's sons, with many commenters expressing dismay at what they view as Camilla's overreach. For a monarchy still adjusting to the transition from Elizabeth's 70-year reign to Charles's leadership, this family conflict represents a significant challenge to the narrative of stability and continuity that palace officials have been carefully constructing.